opposing the bill. Alfred Naro.
I move that the question be now put.
Megan Woods.
Decision.
Mr Chairman, despite Mr Bennett's very strange rantings in this House tonight, nobody on this side of the House disagrees that people who have borrowed money through the student loan scheme should pay back the money that they owe. I don't believe that New Zealanders living overseas who have taken out a student loan shouldn't make their repayments, just like I did, just like many of us on the side of the House did, and that is not what our opposition to this bill is. I suggest that Mr Bennett, rather than trying to be a one-man band rewriter of the Crosby-Textor line book, with coming up with his new slogans, trying to get some traction on them for 2014, actually stop and listen to what our objections to this bill are. Because, Mr Chairman, our objections and why we are not voting for this piece of legislation are because it will not work. This is a gimmick, and this is window dressing, and this is not going to do what the bill purports to do, and that is to increase the rate of repayment of outstanding debt on the student loan book. It just simply isn't going to work. Because, Mr Chairman, there's a number of clauses I want to look at tonight in Part 1 of this bill. I want to look at clauses 4, clauses 6, and of course clause 8, which a number of my colleagues have traversed in the course of this bill. The first I want to turn to is clause number 4. Now, clause number 4, I think Tracy Martin alluded to this in her speech, is where we have this government enacting yet another piece of retrospective legislation. Because, Mr Chairman, they've already put these rules in place. This is legislation playing catch-up because it's a government that's not keeping up with its legislative agenda. Mr Chairman, this has taken a very long time since Budget 2013 to come to this House, and yet they've already put this into play. So that is one of the things that we object to. Then I want to turn our attention to clause number 6, which I think Grant Robinson alluded to, which is the very blunt tool that has been put in place around how it is that borrowers who are living overseas are expected to repay their loan. So what we have, if you have a loan and you're living in New Zealand, then your loan is repaid according to how much you earn. But if you're living overseas, your repayments are calculated on the balance of your loan. Well, Mr Chairman, while previously there had been a 3-step repayment threshold, this is now increased under this legislation out to 5 steps, which means that if you have a loan over 60,000 New Zealand dollars, you are liable for $5,000 repayment per year, no matter what you are earning. So if you're earning £150,000, you've got a loan of 61,000 New Zealand dollars, you'll pay 5,000 New Zealand dollars back on your loan each year. If you're earning £12,000 working in a pub somewhere in London and you've got a loan of over $60,000, you will also be required to make a repayment of $5,000 per year. This is setting people up to fail. This is setting people up to get into trouble with their loan, and then catch them if you can, because you can arrest them at the borders when they come back in. We are not setting in place a scheme that incentivises and makes it easy for New Zealanders who are living overseas to repay their loans. Now, on this side of the House, we have supported measures when the government have put in place measures that we think that will work, that will increase the number of people who repay their loans, and it makes it easier for them to do so. We supported the measure around making it easier to make repayments through the IRD website. We thought that was a good measure, and we gave our support for that because it simply was going to improve how people do it. But, Mr Chairman, increasing the thresholds under Clause 6 of this bill in concert with what we've already seen in previous amendments to the student loan bill scheme. I think it was Amendment number 2, which was about contracting the repayment holiday that was available for students. We simply are setting traps for people to get into trouble. When we put in place the interest-free student loan scheme, when Labor put that in place when we were in government last time, it was done for several reasons. One was to address the amount of money that people were having to pay at the end of their education. Mr. Chairman,
Jackie Dean.
I move that the question be now
Stephen
put.
Browning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, as respect to the student loan